guys, how's it going? This is Charlie with Commuting and Crime with Charlie. A little bit wet here because it's been a soggy day, but so our story today is going to be coming out of Lowell, Massachusetts, and it happened back in 2010-2011. There was this 11-year-old little girl. Her name was Tabitha Potter, and she wound up going missing. Her family noticed that she wasn't home, or she had gone out and didn't return, and they were really concerned, obviously, 11 years old. And she basically would go and hang out in this area called Shed Park. Now, Shed Park, it's very funny because there's a public pool, there's an actual playground there, there's walking trails and all of that, but it can also be very secluded because there's a lot of woods in the background. And in the summertime, which is when this occurred, the leaf coverage and everything makes it very secluded. Also, right next to it is the Lowell Cemetery, which is one of the oldest cemeteries in the city, so it's massive just as well. So anyway, she's missing, the family can't find her, so they wind up calling the police department. So now, the police department comes, it's an 11-year-old girl, of course they're going to start looking for her, and, the family mentioned that usually that's where she liked to go hang out. So they wind up forming a search party and going out and seeing if they can find her. Unfortunately, they wind up finding her, and she had passed. She had been assaulted. So obviously, an 11-year-old girl, something like that happens. It's very tragic. So they, did the autopsy. They found out what had happened. Now, there was a suspect instantly. His name was James Howley, and he was an unemployed house painter, I think. So I guess he had been paying some weird kind of attention to her or whatever. So what they wind up speculating was that he somehow, struck up a conversation with her, or somehow got her to leave her house, and wind up basically, plying her with beer. And I don't recollect right now if there was any drugs involved, like weed or anything, but they definitely did find some beer cans at the scene. So they did find, DNA evidence. They did find the beer cans, and so they had some stuff to go on. Now, instantly, this guy comes up, the 32-year-old unemployed house painter, James Howley, and so the police are looking for him. They want to interview him. Well, what ends up happening is that when they did find him, he had passed. He had hung himself. So the crazy thing about this case is that, yeah, he was suspected, and, obviously because he wind up committing suicide, instantly people, well, he must have done it. And of course his family, in particular his father, was like, no, my son wouldn't do something like that. So unfortunately for them, when the DNA evidence came back, it came back a match to him, that he had been there. It was his bodily fluids, and his DNA was on the beer cans and all of that. So they had a press conference, and they said, yes, this was the person that did it. Of course, his father was adamant. He's like, well, of course. He's like, dead men don't tell tales. So he was the perfect scapegoat. Of course they were going to say he did it. And in their mind, the real killer was still out there, even though there was conclusive evidence of that. So it was a very sad tale because, like I said, this park is literally in the middle of the city, and in this summer there's people there constantly, and for this to happen was pretty sad. I mean, obviously it wasn't during the day, it was later at night. They speculate, somewhere after 8 o'clock at night was when it happened, but that's why it's very important to tell our kids that some areas might look safe, but they're definitely not. And then, the whole stranger danger thing, that a lot of times these strangers are actually people that are known to the family or known in the neighborhood. So we don't want to make our kids paranoid, but we also want them to have them be, vigilant and cautious as to who to trust and who not to trust. There has been a monument erected in her honor in that area. So yeah, that's basically, so there wasn't any trial for obvious reasons. And the turnaround was fairly quickly from the time that the crime happened to the time that Holly wound up killing himself. And then, you know, the DNA results coming back. So it wasn't a long drawn out period. I mean, it's sad. I don't know if that brought closure to the family. I mean, at first they were just speculating, and then of course the DNA results confirmed that he was there. And I mean, what other reason would it be for him to be there? And it's just too much of a coincidence, so to speak. So yeah, that's basically the story. Tabitha Potter, if you want, you can look it up online. And the suspect was James Howley, 32 years old. And yeah, so this is me checking out. Nice, short and sweet today with Commuting and Crime with Charlie. I'll see you guys next time.